It is the Doomsday Podcast. Ed Werder, Matt Mosley, just moments after a thrilling overtime win for the Cowboys, 40-37. And it looked like it was going to go the wrong direction for the Cowboys, and Schotty was going to lose his first home game, fall to 0-2. Sky would have been falling. Sky's still falling to a certain extent, but and I got to say, even after the first series should have told us everything we needed to know. The fact that, like, they kicked the field goal, the Giants did, and had, like, how many penalties on the first?
Like, 3 penalties on one play.
Yeah.
On defense.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Giants on the first.
On the opening kick.
On the opening possession, who threw we should have been tipped off that Russell was going to have a big day because he threw for
left tackle had 4 penalties on the first.
Yeah, and Russ threw for 95 yards on the first drive because they kept getting pushed back, and it was crazy. You can see we are in the newly renovated suite of the Nation family, Jim and Sally Nation. So appreciative of them. Ed, I got to say, I guess they redesigned all these suites, and this is where we do our show during Cowboys home games. To me, it looks bigger, deeper, and then brighter.
I think the Cowboys need to do the same thing for their defense in the next week.
Renovation?
A complete overhaul. Gut it. They need to gut this defense. I'm embarrassed that our name, the Doomsday Podcast, is taken from the rich legacy of the Cowboys defense with the way they play today. I mean, we saw, 2 times in the fourth quarter where they make one play and they're off the field and the game is clinched. They had a 4th down play in the fourth quarter with the lead. They gave up a touchdown pass down the seam. So Wan'Dale Robinson, another one, 33 yards from Russell Wilson. And then they had that, last series when Russell Wilson drove him down the field and hit him over the top again to tie the game with 25 seconds left. I mean, they could not protect the lead for 52 seconds. It's absurd. It was a fourth quarter with 5 lead changes and 2 in the final minutes. So, the Cowboys won today, but the way they're playing on that side of the ball, winning is not sustainable with this formula.
No. And if I was Deron Bland, I would try to.
I didn't know he was that good.
I would try to renegotiate.
Yeah, he hasn't played a game on his new contract. Oh, he played 1 game on his new contract. Mm-hmm. He might need to sign a new extension, more lucrative extension. And how much is
I would start holding it?
How much is Brandon Aubrey going to get when he signs? He's a Todd France client who got Dak the richest contract in NFL history. I think Brandon Aubrey might be able to surpass Dak as the highest paid player in NFL history.
So what would they have? They passed on the opportunity to have the highest paid pass rusher ever. They're going to have the second highest paid receiver, the highest paid guard now with Tyler Smith, and
highest paid kicker.
You're going to have the highest paid kicker.
And the highest
paid quarterback and the owner.
The richest owner in football.
Surely there's somebody that's...
I mean, the defense was so bad that Jerry's announcing that they've signed guys right after the game's over. Like, even in 1989, when I first covered the Cowboys, they went 1-15, and we would routinely show up on Monday at Valley Ranch where they trained at the time, and there'd be like 4 or 5 guys waiting for the bus to go to the airport because Jimmy was cutting guys off the roster. We don't even wait till tomorrow now. Jerry's signing guys like while he's in the locker room or while he's in the suite watching the game.
Yeah.
Devion Clowney.
Yeah, you would appreciate it. That's what I said to Jerry. I was like, did you think about trying to get him out there for overtime? And Jerry kind of liked that. He kind of liked that one.
He does.
It is the Doomsday Podcast. And Z-Man, our great Zach Burke, our producer. Sir, please play the music. All right, Ed, Russ Wilson has just thrown for another touchdown. Just since we went to break there. Ed, he had 450 yards passing. We should have been like, did you see Brian Kelly from LSU get mad that the first question was about, I wanted you to get in there with Schotty and just go.
Talk to him about winning his first game.
Yeah, just go, Schotty, what in the world was that pass defense about? I think that would have been fine. I think you would have been justified in that. 450. I mean, this was a guy, Ed, who came into the game, and there was some thought they might replace him after week 1. Giants looked horrible against the Commanders in week 1.
His worst week 1 performance based on quarterback rating in his 13-year NFL career. And they'd scored 6 points in 3 consecutive season openers under Brian Daboll, which was the worst, the only team to do that in the last since 1940. The Lions did it in 1940 to 1942. That's how bad this offense was. And they come out here and, like you said, Russell Wilson, 30 for 41, 450. If he only throws 40 passes instead of 41, they might have won the game. Donovan Wilson's overtime interception gave the Cowboys an unbelievable third possession in a 10-minute overtime, and the Cowboys took advantage. But, Russell Wilson, 450 yards passing. Wan'Dale Robinson, 8 catches, career high, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns of more than 30 yards. He had 1 all of last season. Malik Neighbors, 9 catches, career high, 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, what an awful performance by the Cowboys defense in just their second game under Matt Eberflus, who, it played more zone coverage than anybody in football. On the play on the 4th down touchdown pass, a 33-yarder to Wan'Dale Robinson, before the snap, you could tell that Malik Hooker and Trayvon Diggs on that side of the field were having an issue as to what the call was. And they didn't resolve it, and then they got beat down. How many times did they get beat down the middle of the field today?
Too much to even count.
And they might be able to use a pass rusher that they sent to Green Bay, by the way.
Yeah, seemingly. I mean, they did end up with 2 sacks on the day. I mean, Russell Wilson, though, was able to drop back. And, to your point from earlier, though, Ed, it was almost comical that most times you go, if you desperately need 6 yards, which they needed at one point, it was like 4th and 6, you would say, run it out, do something, get your first down, and live to fight another series, right? And the Cowboys' pass defense was so horrific that it made complete sense to throw a bomb and hit a receiver in the back of the end zone, which was Malik Neighbors, who was usually mad after games. I don't think he can be that mad today.
During games.
Yeah, during games, you're right. And he and Wan'Dale Robinson, who, by the way, last year I saw this nugget. This is like a Werder-like nugget. I think the Giants had it in their team notes. Last year, he led the NFL in 3rd down catches. It's not like this guy should have shocked the Cowboys. He had like 34 or 35 3rd down catches last year. He led the league. And this year, early in the young season, he was leading the league with 3rd down catches. And so they went to him early and often. And the one time I thought the Cowboys had 0 chance against him, which is most of the day, was when poor Sanborn was having to chase him down.
Because I think they down the seam and they thought that was going to be a tight end. And instead it's a slot receiver. There's no way a linebacker's going to turn his back and keep up with a receiver like that.
Well,
Elam had a number of busts.
Horrible.
In the game. But
Elam.
It was so bad, Matt, that I asked Dak Prescott at his press conference after the game, how do you handle that mentally as a quarterback when you get into a scoring contest like this where your defense can't get a single stop and you're always going back out there trying to retake the lead? How do you embrace that kind of pressure? And he said 3 or 4 or 5 guys, defensive players, came up to him in the locker room and apologized, saying, we can't put you in that position. And he, of course, being a leader and was deferential and said, hey, look, you guys bailed me out on that interception I threw in the red zone and kept the Giants off the board, which Brian Daboll made a poor strategic decision there. If he, kicks the field goal, obviously they have 3 more points at the end of regulation. They probably win the game. But the Cowboys did hold them on downs there. And so Dak alluded to that. He said, that's just part of the brotherhood and trusting one another. And this is going to be a beneficial learning experience. But man, we're going to have to see a lot of improvement in this defense. And guess what? The defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, goes back to Chicago next week, where he got fired. He's the only head coach in Bears history, 106 years of football, to get fired in season.
Yeah, and they're going to be facing a desperate team.
Another team that's not very good. That's the thing. This is a bad team. The Giants are coming off a 4-13 year, their worst season in 100 years. They were 0. They're now 0-8 against the NFC East. They're a bad team. And you almost got beat in your own building to go 0-2.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when teams go 0-2 and they open up with 2 division losses? That's happened 8 times since 2002, since realignment in 2002. None of those 8 teams made the playoffs. So the Giants are out. And the Cowboys were nearly out.
Yeah.
Based on that historical precedent.
I mean, we knew the Giants were out, even if they'd won today. Yeah. But it was, and we've praised so far this season, it's through one game, Schotty for like not having the like clock management issues and game management issues.
Yeah.
And sure enough, in this game, like early on, the Cowboys wanted to go for it on a 4th down. It looked like they were going to try to draw the team off sides on the 4th and 1 and maybe punt. But then they tried to go and quarterback sneak, but there was a delay of game on that. And then they couldn't get a play off. I mean, they could have gotten a field goal at halftime, and they couldn't get the play off in time.
So out of time by mismanaging that situation. So
yes,
yeah, you're right. Like we always talked about Mike McCarthy after games. It always seemed like there was 1 or 2 game management strategy issues, and last week Schotty had none, but today he had several.
Yeah,
maybe the being under center and not getting the ball snap, maybe that was on Prescott, and certainly throwing the ball short to Ferguson and he couldn't get out of bounds. That was a Prescott decision too. So the quarterback didn't help the head coach in that situation.
No,
either situation.
No, and like again, to your point about the and I think we should, and we might even share some of what Jerry had to say, but Jerry was like, well, maybe it's because I got down there late, but we were having trouble. They now put you in that conveyor, what is that, like a cargo elevator?
Service
elevator.
Where you do some dishes on the way down.
Yeah, and somebody actually, our friend Todd Archer, somebody came through there with some food, like dropped a plate on him and hit him with the thing of food. I was
going to say you took some food off like George Costanza, getting the cupcake out of the trash can.
No, he was having a rough time. We got down there. We were a little late, but we got Jerry later. And then almost in passing, Jerry just goes, so Brad Townsend for the Dallas Morning News, who was out here today, said something along the lines of like, do you feel like you need something more from your pass rush? Or are you getting enough from your pass rush to Jerry? To which Jerry goes, well, we maybe help that. We did go ahead, today we went ahead and signed the pass rusher, and we're all looking at each other. And so at some point somebody's like, Clowney? He's like, yeah. So they got Jadeveon Clowney. And then I joked at some point, I was like, were you trying to get him out there for OT? But he's like, yeah, that would have been good. And Jerry went on to say that he would have suited up if it could have helped him win the game or whatever. But Jadeveon Clowney, Ed, you were joking before we even came on, but it's true. Like this is a rough enough situation. I mean, Jerry even, by the way, has Jerry ever done? He loves doing media, so that's not new. But he's just everywhere you look up lately. Whether it's Good Morning America, he was on, I think, the ESPN Countdown today. He's constantly doing interviews, and today he was pushing that narrative again. We were really bad at stopping the run over Micah Parsons' 4 years, and what we were doing,
stopping the run. Look at the pass now. Now we give it a 500 yards passing. That's the problem. They can't pressure the quarterback. Can't pressure a guy who's had very little success. Now Brian Schottenheimer, and we do need to talk about Brian Schottenheimer for a minute because this was a historic day for him. Against his former quarterback, who he said during the week is one of the best deep ball throwers I've ever seen, and talked about what a dynamic player he is and how he can still run. And all of a sudden, they enjoyed 3 great years together in Seattle. And this looked like vintage Russell Wilson today.
Yeah.
In the pocket, just undisturbed and unfailing accuracy. But Schotty gets his first win as an NFL head coach at age 51. They win at home, and Schotty said that he phrased it as a cool way to win your first game, saying he'll remember it forever. And then he shared that his mother was supposed to be here, 82-year-old Pat, who obviously was the wife of Marty Schottenheimer, who won 200 games as an NFL head coach. She was unable to come here because she was going to the airport the other day to make her trip here, and she fell and broke her arm. And so she had to call the other day and cancel the trip from the ER. And so Schotty's mom was not here. But then he went on to describe this as a very confident team. And he said they should be. He said, we're a good team. And then he said, now we did some stupid S out there. And he said, there's going to be long meetings tomorrow to correct this stuff. And he didn't want to get into too much detail about what went wrong on defense until he sees the tape, and understandably so. But there was not a lot of pressure on a consistent basis, and there were a lot of coverage busts in the secondary.
But really good run defense.
And Javonte Williams on offense, like Schotty was kind of basically saying, yeah, Eberflus's defense, not so great, but my offense was pretty good.
Yeah.
My offense put up 40.
So it had good things to say about Javonte Williams.
Who has been impressive.
Yeah.
Talked about how hard he's run. Thinks he's one of the hardest runners in the NFL. And this is a guy who coached Marshawn Lynch. Mm-hmm. So he knows something about being physical at the running back position. I think he finished with 97 yards, and Schotty was saying he wished he'd gotten him one more carry, but he produced when he had to, and he contributed in the passing game as well. So
yeah. And Miles Sanders had the one nice series where he had a couple of good runs and had the touchdown, and he didn't fumble.
Correct.
When he gets to he had that issue against the Eagles. All right, Ed, we've got a few more thoughts, and yours. I want to kind of hear your thoughts too, moving forward. As you said, that Chicago game, the Packers, as we look forward to that game on the 28th, that'll be exciting with Micah Parsons returning. You know, I think the Cowboys would like to stop talking about Micah, but they're not going to be able to, right? Because that week is going to be all about Micah Parsons' return. Jerry still asks constantly, and it doesn't help that Micah has been incredible already with the Packers.
The Packers have seemed like maybe the best team in the NFL through 2 weeks.
That's what it looks like. Yeah. And it does seem like Micah might be helping that. Like he seems to be a nice addition to the team. All right, let's do this, though. Let's do something we do on a weekly basis. He's an angry man. He is
vanity.
I'm afraid we're going to have some today, even with the win. Yeah, and I think it was Galloway who used to say, don't style point these wins or whatever. But, boy, this one there were some embarrassing parts. Even though it was a win, there were some very embarrassing performances by the Cowboys, especially with that pass defense. And here to break it down, it is time for Stretch Plays with Glenn Stretch Smith, former Cowboys scout and coach. It is now time for something we call Stretch Plays with Glenn Stretch Smith, former Cowboy scout and coach. And Stretch, this was a wild one. Cowboys pulled this one out against the Giants, and it looked like, with 25 seconds left, it looked like the thing was over, and then it flipped. First of all, Stretch, just the nature of just the all those deep balls, and Russ Wilson throwing for over 400 yards, and you almost kind of see what he was doing, don't you? He had so much success. I think it lured him into thinking he could just throw it up for grabs, and his guy would run into it, and it led to the key interception. But what did you make of the Cowboys' just utter lack of ability to stop the pass today?
It's something I don't recognize. It's something it's totally foreign to me. They're not only not playing leverage, they're not putting their hands or trying to get their hands on guys. They're not looking to reroute guys. They're not looking to do really anything except, I'm assuming, excuse me, that they were trying to read and recognize some route concepts. But I can tell you, I've never seen anything like allowing receivers just to run through the defense. I've never seen anything like it. I can go to the first play of overtime when they throw a comeback out there to Neighbors, and literally there's nobody to even challenge. I mean, it was almost like throwing routes on air. I mean, it really was. It was like a Friday practice where you're just running your routes on air and you're just putting the football up and guys are going to get it. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. And yeah, you're down one or two guys, and I understand that, but it's just a technique or lack of technique, or again, totally foreign to me from anything that I continue to see or have seen. Even at the college game, I don't see where guys are just running through the core of the defense, and there is no concept of leverage, no concept of keeping leverage, and then you don't ever put your hands on them. I mean, I don't, you get a 15-year vet that sets his record of passing yards, and I don't know what the quarterback rating was, but it was out of sight, and something like I don't recognize, and I'm not sure what even to break down or what to tell you other than I don't know what I was looking at, and maybe that's why I'm on this podcast, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but
we have you because we think you do know what you're doing. At one point, his passer rating was somewhere up over 135, trending toward perfect. The interception late may have hurt that. The lack of a consistent pass rush, although I guess early in the game, Houston got in there for a sack, but for the most part, he was able to hold up, even though obviously early on they had a left tackle in there, backup left tackle, making numerous. They finally had to get him out of the game. I think he got flagged like 5 times on the first drive, on their first possession. How much of what we saw was on a sort of a no pass rush? And then I wanted you to get your reaction to Jerry sharing with a few of us after the game, it just kind of in passing, that they had added Jadeveon Clowney, and he's now been signed by the Cowboys. How much do you think he could help things?
Yeah, I mean, you could have your pass rush could be the New York Sack Exchange. I don't give a damn about that. I'm talking about the secondary. I'm talking about guys running buck free through the secondary. I'm talking about how the secondary is. I don't know if they're coached that way, but I would find it hard to believe that you're going against anything that's being coached. I have never in my time, again, I don't give a damn about Micah Parsons anymore or any of that. I don't care. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what kind of pass rush you have if you can't at least leverage receivers or challenge receivers or get receivers to have to at least alter course when they're running their routes. I don't give a damn if you just squat on them at 10 yards. They're going to have to do something to get around you. And that, they didn't do any of that. They were literally allowing guys to just run buck ass free. And I'm going to say ass. I'm too old to stand up here and say bottom bobo. Buck ass free through the secondary. I've never seen anything like it. So you asked me about a pass rush. We can get on to the pass rush if you want to. I'm telling you, this secondary, it wouldn't have mattered who was blitzing the quarterback. It doesn't matter if you're sending 3 or sending 8. It wouldn't matter. Guys were running buck free through your secondary. And so, if you want to get on to saying, could they have done better with a pass, with getting some pressure? Sure, they should. Is that something that you're going to have to do? Yes. But let me tell you what you have to do. From what I feel like was game 1 to forward in this scenario, they're going to have to score 30 every week to have any chance. And that's with or without Bland, with or without Clowney. They're going to have to score 30. And so to allow the New York Giants to come in here and just basically shred your secondary tells me that there's something wrong with how this thing is put together. And I know how hard it is to coach. I know it's a difficult job, but I've never seen anything like that. Now, you asked me about the pass rush. I thought I thought Clark got home a few times. I thought that you're going to, it's about what they are. They're a bunch of hard hat guys that are going to, they're obviously going to give you effort, but they're not great pass rushers. So, I thought they played the run pretty well. I thought you saw the linebackers play the run and do some things from a leverage standpoint in the pass game pretty well. I mean, I thought Murray did some good things, and I thought you saw Jack Sanborn try to at least reroute a guy in a Tampa 2 scenario. But again, think about this. This is the National Football League. This is the best of the best, and you're allowing guys just to run through the middle of your defense, and you're allowing a 15-year veteran quarterback just to say pow, pow, pow. I mean, that's exactly what he did on the last pick that he threw. I think that was a busted route by the receiver, because the receiver went to a high angle corner, and I think Russ thought he was going to run the go. So I don't know who I don't know who to put that on right now, but I'm telling you, I mean, good for Donovan for going up and high pointing the football. That's about what I can say about that.
All right, and there on the other side, wanted to get your thoughts on Cowboys offense. Had to keep up, and they had to keep coming, and obviously they got an unbelievable kicker who's bailed them out time and time again. Today is no exception. Gets it to overtime, after they get it to midfield there. So he's a huge weapon. But from my vantage point, you had some drops again. CD, Schoonmaker had a big drop, but Pickens came up big at times, especially late in that game. He drew some penalties, and then he made some catches at key times of the game. What'd you make of the Cowboys offense?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think Javonte Williams a really good back. I mean, he is a hard running back, and he's a great size. I mean, he took some shots and hammered it in there. He is tough as hell. I mean, I like the running back. Tight ends wise, had the drop. You got to clean that up. Tolbert, a drop. CD, a drop. They got to quit dropping the football. I thought Dak showed you the consistency of throwing those deep overs, deep twos, slants that are deeper from one side of the field to the other. He completed 2 that were bracketed to CD, and then he threw the last one to Pickens. So he's obviously got a comfort level with that route. The Giants' defensive line is a good defensive line. They exposed a little bit of the Cowboys. I thought a little bit of the Cowboys, I want to say, inability to really anchor on the edge. I mean, Guyton will get better. He's got good feet. He's got to get some lead in his ass. Terrence Steele's got to anchor a little better instead of letting the bull rush come in there. But I do think that they'll continue to get better from an offensive line standpoint as they continue to work together. One time, Javonte chips the end, and they're running a TE stunt. Really, he just sent him on he just chipped him so hard, he drove him hard inside. And Booker wasn't able to sit inside and pick that up. I think he recognized it, but he wasn't really ready to pick it up. So those guys, the more they work together and the more they see that, are going to get it done. I really like now, with just thinking about where this offense is now that they've signed Smith. I mean, if you consider Hunter Lipke and Kemontae Turpin starters, which I do, then that means other than Williams and Pickens, you have a starting offense that is all of them under contract until 2027, which means you have ample time to develop these guys and let them work together from an offensive line standpoint, and I think they'll be good. So offensively, you saw some, in my mind, you saw what they're going to have to do. I don't like that they went 2 straight 3-and-outs to start the game. I'd like for them to start faster, but at the end of the day, The money is spent on that side of the football. And if you're going to have any chance to win 8, 9 football games, you're going to have to become accustomed to scoring 30 to 35 points a game.
All right, Cowboys somehow escaped this thing with an overtime win today and are 1-1. 0-2 would have felt horrible. Schotty gets his first win as a head coach. Stretch, thank you. We'll be watching you on WFAA, Channel 8, tonight at 10:30, making your usual appearance. Appreciate you being on.
I'll leave you with this too, Matt. I mean, other than Aubrey, that there got to be some things cleaned up from a special team standpoint. Too many penalties, too many. You starting inside the 20 and allowing them to start plus 35. That's giving up too much. So that's something that they're gonna. I know Tennessee, that staff at Tennessee's in trouble. Maybe think about getting Bones back over here, because right now that bunch ain't getting it done either.
Bones. I hadn't thought about Bones in a while. If he would need a good fake punt, he was always ready and willing. Stretch, thank you, sir. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sorry to bother you, Bonesley.
There he goes. Glenn Stretch Smith on Stretch Plays on the Doomsday Podcast. There he was, Glenn Stretch Smith. The A word was mentioned. There was a lot going on.
Can't participate in his segments.
Ed was off camera. He refused to hop on.
Tell him that.
With Stretch. No, he knows. You were down there wrapping some things up. Ed was not in the beautiful suite. Again, we thank Jim and Sally Nation. You see the field behind us, and this is where we're able to do it. And we don't have to go back up to the press box and interrupt the writers. Nobody would like that. And I
learned a few things if they listened to us while they were writing.
That's right. We could drop some notes on them. Ed always has some good research, and he's even looking down at some of his research now. But Ed, it was I think we talk about the thin margins, winning and losing. This isn't sustainable, and no, I don't think they can score 40 points every game. But just think of how miserable everyone would have been if they had lost this game. And Dak preserved one of the most sacred streaks in all of sports, right? How many times
14
now?
straight times against the Giants. They came off the field saying the 14th one was tough. And a lot of them have been easy. This one was difficult, challenging. And you mentioned stats, and this is from our good friends at ESPN Research. This is the second time in Dak Prescott's career that he's thrown a go-ahead touchdown pass in the final minute of regulation. And as they were driving down and about to score, I said in the press box, it's unbelievable, but they actually have to be careful about how much time they leave the Giants.
Yeah.
Now they scored, and I got in the elevator, and I heard the fans going crazy, and I was like, oh, my God, the Cowboys must have just clinched the game. No, the Giants had just scored again.
Yeah.
And retaken the lead. And Brandon Aubrey, first, one more thing on Dak. Today was the 8th time that he's thrown 50 or more passes in a single game. And then Brandon Aubrey, 64-yard field goal, is the longest to send a game into overtime in NFL history. There's been 4 field goals made of 64 or more yards in the NFL. Brandon Aubrey has half of them. He has 2.
Wow. It's really kind of funny, isn't it? It almost is something we would have gotten on to McCarthy about in the past. I can't help but view this through the context of things we used to knock Mike McCarthy on. In fact, that should be a segment. Things we used to knock McCarthy for. But one thing that you could have ended up questioning about this team if they had not have sent it to overtime is they had time to actually throw a pass. They had enough timeouts. They could have thrown a pass 5-10 yards downfield to make it a little easier on the kick. And because they have Brandon Aubrey and because he's such a huge weapon, they just ran it basically into the middle of the line like you would if you were setting a guy up from 40 or 45. Yeah, like a gimme for him, almost anything 55 and below is total gimme for him.
Dak said in those late game situations or right before the half when they are trying to get in field goal position, his target is basically the midfield star, the logo on at midfield. And credit to him at 32 years old and coming off a second major surgery to his legs that caused him to miss a significant portion of the previous season. Dak Prescott set up made Aubrey's last kick, the game winner, a lot easier from 46 yards than it might have been with that scramble up the middle and then getting down, which he obviously failed to do against the 49ers in the playoffs in a timely enough fashion, several years ago. But Dak was saying that, he got hurt last year in his mind. He hurt his hamstring, pulled it off the bone because he hadn't been running and his body wasn't physically prepared for him to run. And he suddenly decided he needed that element. His team needed the element of him running for yardage in certain situations. But now he feels like he's conditioned his body to where he feels like he can contribute safely in that regard.
Yeah, no, he looked fast. That was a big play, and that put him, again, Aubrey from 46 yards is like most kickers from like 22. Was there ever a kicker back in the day, like Morton Anderson or whoever it was, maybe Sebastian Janikowski for a little bit with the Raiders, a little bit more of a modern day kicker, that was like so crazy far and above the other kickers like this guy is? I mean, there's really nobody in his class, and I can't remember. I remember great kickers, and the Patriots had one, and then Vinatieri, and
he wasn't really a bomber, but he was very clutch. He
was extremely clutch
when they had to have it to win games all the time. Vanderjack was kind of a long
for a while,
kicker.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, and maybe we don't ever talk about this enough, is Brandon Aubrey is arguably the best player at his position of anybody in the NFL. Like on social media I said, hey, he's the Josh Allen kicker. He's the Patrick Mahomes of kickers. Now he hadn't delivered in championship moments like they have, but just incredible. And the fact that he didn't play college football, I mean, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you don't play college football and you come to the NFL. It's the best of the best in the world.
And he's the best.
You're the dominant performer at your position. It's insane.
Who was before him? Like I feel like they had a good kicker.
Maher
at one point. He had some good time, but he kind of lost his.
He missed all his extra points in Tampa. Missed 3 extra points. Game in Tampa. Missed an extra point, I think, in San Francisco the following week, and they just lost trust in him. Thought it was a mental thing.
Who was Lynn Elliott, or who was the star? Who was the kicker during the Super Bowl years?
I think it was Lynn Elliott. Was it?
Probably not for all three,
right?
But Lynn Elliott would have been for a couple of those. You're just making me think back, historical. But man, this was historical in a lot of ways. Dak through 2 games. Ed, his numbers have to be up. I mean, he was 38 for 52 for well over 300 yards. Russell threw for 450. Just unbelievable.
Too many for Russell.
And just threw that 31 for 40 for 450 yards. And that was nice. And I asked Jerry also about like what that was like to see a player that was struggling so much get the key interception, and talking about Donovan Wilson. And I mean, there was a lot. I mean, Trayvon Diggs was the best cornerback on the field, and he was getting burned too. I mean, Neighbors was unbelievable. It's like the Giants, if you just took a snapshot of today and you didn't know the context of the rest of the NFL, you would just say, well, those have to be the best receivers in the NFL, right? Wandale Robinson and Malik Neighbors. I mean, it's unreal. And I still think, like, Ed, we're 2 weeks away from – so they will all get fired after this year. We're probably 2 weeks away from Russell Wilson losing his job, and Jackson Dart will take over because – that's probably what will happen. But like today, he reminded people he's one of the great deep ball throwers of his generation.
He was one of the great quarterbacks in his time for 3 to 5 years when Seattle went to 2 Super Bowls and won one of them and should have won the other, but not for an interception at the goal line at the end of the game. on a play that probably shouldn't have been called. The ball probably shouldn't have been put in his hands. But either Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator, or Pete Carroll did, and it cost him the game and cost him another back-to-back Super Bowl wins. But
did you know
legendary? I mean, he was one of the great players in football for quite a few years.
Yeah.
But, when you watch that play tonight, the interception in overtime, you're like, what is he doing? Why does he throw? Why does he make such an indiscriminate throw? And I the only answer I would have for that is he did it all day and somebody was down there to catch it every time.
Yeah.
Like there had no reason to be risk adverse. Only good things that happened every time he'd throw one down the field.
Yeah. It's hard to even talk about anybody on the defensive line. Kenny Clark had 1 sack. Houston had 1 sack. And I would say some of the linebackers, at least in the run game, came up and made plays.
Kenny Murray made a couple plays.
Yeah, Kenneth Murray. And then I think they were going to play Lufau more. I didn't notice.
It just seemed significant. I was looking for him out there early, and he wasn't out there. He just had a couple packages where they had 3 linebackers on the field, and he played in those situations.
One thing we need to address, in addition to Jadeveon Clowney, has now been signed by the Cowboys.
His former first-round pick.
Wow.
That they've signed as a free agent. Now, he's number 1 overall pick.
One of the reasons Ed and I come out here is for this podcast, and we have other people we work for, but this is the main impetus for what we do. And it allows us to put eyes on things. And Beatty looked really rough getting off the field. He had to be helped. In the locker room after the game, he was on crutches, and I got a good look at his ankle. And I got to see the team doctor afterwards, but I didn't really drill him on that one.
Significant swelling.
I mean, huge swelling in the ankle. Now, does that mean it's a high ankle? Is it broken? Is it whatever? I think they'll look at it, but I just think he's an incredibly tough guy who plays really well, plays really good football for the Cowboys, and I think was off to a pretty good start this season, but it looked bad.
And Cavante Turpin, who's become an important member of the offense as a receiver, and obviously with the best returner in football, all-pro returner in football. And he had, a neck injury. He had a collar on. He said he was okay.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys were making – Schottenheimer afterward didn't really offer much insight on either player, but said more testing was being done on Turpin.
Yeah, in fact, I sort of thought Turpin changed the game. Cowboys were off to a weird, rough start, right, early in the game, and they're down 6-0. And they had some 3-and-outs, and it just wasn't looking that great. And I thought Turpin kind of got things going. And then
touchdown catch?
Yeah. But, I mean, just even some intermediate stuff that he did looked good. And then it's too many drops still.
Schottenheimer has a much different vision for Cavante Turpin than Mike McCarthy did as far as being an offensive contributor.
I just think he thinks of him as a normal player. And McCarthy would think of people as like novelty acts, even to the point where
we can put him in the offense 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and then they'd bring like Jordan Lewis or somebody and give him remember that? It's like, okay, guys, stop being weird. I don't even know if Travis Hunter was like drafted and we made this huge thing of him. Did you see like how many defensive snaps he played in week 1? It was like
he played a lot more today.
Did he?
Ball, yeah.
Okay. Did Jacksonville win?
I don't know. They won last week. I don't know if they won this week.
I saw something that Jacksonville did today. I just can't, I can't commit to it.
Thankfully, it's not a Jacksonville podcast.
It is not. Although I do like Jacksonville.
Sir Purr.
I like, that's the Panthers.
Oh.
Yeah, but I like Jacksonville. I like that mascot. Ed, good work today. Man, have a great morning. You can always watch Ed Channel 8 on the Mondays after games. Today will be a little better for Ed because he can go to sleep at a normal hour, but he is on early Monday mornings on Channel 8 with a man named Mark Istook. Does that sound right to you?
He does a fine job.
Yeah, you really do. Ed likes him.
A lot of rapport with him.
Yeah.
Sports, former NFL Network anchor, so
yeah,
sports is important. He knows how to set me up.
Seems sort of overqualified, but yeah, that's
you learn a few things about setting me up from watching.
I set you up just fine. For anything else you want to add?
I'm good.
You're good. We again appreciate the Nations for the great suite. Appreciate the Cowboys for their hospitality out here and the mac and cheese and some kind of casserole, some kind of like what was that? Grits or something? Did you like that?
Grits. I had potatoes. Sirloin or whatever it was. It's a ribeye, whatever.
I thought everything they had today was fairly high.
But the defense was good.
Well, everything but the secondary. Oh, but they got burned.
Hey, well done.
They're toasty.
Temperature-wise,
they're toasty after this. All right, be with us next week when we're reacting to Cowboys and Bears as Matt Eberflus. Everybody's making a return every week, right? Here's Russ and Schotty getting back together. Eberflus goes back to Chicago. Micah Parsons comes back here. All the storylines, all that you need, all covered right here on the Doomsday Podcast. Subscribe, and you can hear us YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, anywhere, Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcast, you can sign up and be with the Doomsday Podcast. For Ed Warder,
produced by Rogue Media
Network. Thank you, Ed. And thank you for our man Zach producing us, doing a great job on his Sunday. For Ed and Zach and Stretch.
We'll work on his language.
I am Matt Mosley. We will see you next Sunday.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Football's back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. And playing on Underdog, it's easy. Actually, too easy. I do it all the time, okay? All you got to do, find your favorite players, and you pick if they're going to go higher or lower on specific stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, whatever you want. And you can play for as little as $1. Let me show you what I'm looking at on my picks for this NFL weekend. First of all, CeeDee Lamb. Bounce back week for him after 3 drops against the Philadelphia Eagles. He will have more than half a receiving plus rushing touchdown. And then listen, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, both will also score, but with their legs on the ground. I've got each of them with over half a rushing or receiving touchdown as well. Those are my picks. And I did the flex option. So if 2 of those 3 happen, I don't lose money. And if all 3 happen, I make money. That's the kind of picks you can make on Underdog. So here's what I want you to do. Download the Underdog app right now and sign up with the promo code Mosley. And if you put in $5 with that promo code Mosley, they will give you $50 in bonus funds to play with to your heart's content. Underdog is the best way to engage with football this season. Millions have already won billions of dollars playing on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.